the youth book that is written on Judge L. Clifford Davis. It's called I Want to Be Like Him. And we have the person with whom this book challenges and travels through his life in a fantastic way. We have Judge L. Clifford Davis in living color. He is 98 years old. And of course, Judge Davis was born in 1924, and he has been a social engineer. And before we start any occasion, Judge Davis definitely wants us to do the Negro National Anthem. And so we have it. We're not going to be the singers on this, but we're going to present a very interesting version of Lift Every Voice and Sing. Let us stand, please. Oh, children, whenever this song is played, would you all please stand? Stand. Thank you. So we chose that version because it gives so much history as the choir sang the song. And so my name is Bobby Edmonds. I am really the author of this book. And it was really an amazing trip to spend many hours with Judge Davis. You all, he has so much wisdom to share. And we only touched the iceberg in this book because there's someone doing an autobiography of him. And so I said, Judge, let's do the youth book so young people can read it and use it as a family outing. So now we would like to show it's a 2 minute video and it's going to cover the author, myself, Judge Davis, and the publisher. So it's 2 minutes. So let's watch this 2 minute video, and then we will get with our illustrious guest, host, Judge Mary Ellen Hicks, and then the Judge El Clifford Davis. Hello, everybody. I'm Bobby Edmonds. I happen to be the author of this fabulous book of Judge L. Clifford Davis, a living and walking history book. Now we have a physical book that we can hold and cherish. A pawpaw to so many generations of people. I think the book serves all ages because education is a lifetime experience. You learn all the years of your life and expand your understanding of life all the years of your life. There's no such thing as my education is over. Your education extends throughout your life because you constantly read about the changes and advances and new ideas and new technology that's coming to our society. And that is a part of the education for the young people as well as for the mature people in our society. I was totally excited. My children's book company, we write children's books about historical pioneers. Booker T. Washington, Ida B. Wells. So to have an author, a local author in my hometown, I'm from Arlington, but the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, contact me about what I would call a melanin origin, a modern day living legend melanin origin right in our hometown. I was beyond ecstatic. Get your book today. It's The Life of Judge Davis and His Accomplishments by Attorney Bobby Evans. My name is Cynthia Evans. I'm 7 years old. Get the book about Judge Davis. Yay! So I thought it was appropriate that did you hear Judge Davis? How he said, every day of our lives we're going to continue to learn and get educated. He always comes up with the most powerful words when you ask him for advice or a tip. So let me introduce a lady whereby we should be reading a children's book and an adult book. She is so amazing, and her travel in life has enhanced all of our lives. And she is still going like the ever ready battery, nonstop on issues that impact our lives today. And she's been a role model for women, a role model for her family, and a role model for the community. And she is actually nationwide. She's all over the place from LA to New York, maybe Kentucky, Chicago. I bet it's not a state that she hasn't touched. And so, but we have her here today. But look, I have a little bit of information here. At 5 years old, retired Judge Mary Ellen Hicks knew that one day she would be a lawyer. She never thought it would be an appellate court. Well, has been a district court level. No, let's start first. She's been a municipal court, a city. Then she progressed to be a probate master. Then she went on to be a municipal judge. After that, she was appointed in 1983 to be a district judge. So she went from the baby judge's own step up to the district judge that has a whole lot of power. And she was one of the most amazing family court judges that we had. Fairness always open to the community as though our judges should be. So Judge Hicks was in family, and it's so unfortunate. In 1983, she was the first African American female district judge. She is still the first in 2023 African American female judge in Tarrant County. That's not a good picture for Tarrant County. That's a sad picture for Tarrant County. But she is also holding another title. She is the first African American to sit on the second Court of Appeals that covers Tarrant County. The first, male or female. She still holds that record, you all. That's sad too for Tarrant County. From 1983, but in she was appointed with the Court of Appeals in 1994, and she served until 1996. So we will say since 1996, they have not had another African American to sit on the next highest level of court in the state of Texas. So we have her here today. She's gone through a lot. She's made a lot of changes through our lives. She graduated from in 1974 from Texas Tech Law School. She was the first, again, female black graduate. She is just going from that little girl who wanted to be a lawyer. She has trailblazed her way to today. Yes, it is like a hallelujah thing for just Hicks. And then she went to Texas Women University. And so I'm not going to go through all the things. No, but I can tell you, I witnessed, she has even been appointed in a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit in Texas to make changes in the judicial system, fighting for change, fighting for equality. And so I'm not going to say much more because she's going to co-host this, and we'll have that conversation with Mary Ellen Hicks, Judge Mary Ellen Hicks, retired Judge Mary Ellen Hicks. Like I told you, there should be a history book. And Judge, I don't know who's going to write that book, but we need one for the youth and we need one for the adult because we want to attract those young readers to know about those living people in our neighborhood, those people in our neighborhood that are internationally and nationally known. Thank you, Judge Hicks. And then she will ask Judge Davis some questions as well as I. And that's going to be very interesting. And Judge Davis is going to give us a bit of his wisdom. The book is written about Judge Davis, and this is the first book ever written on him. So I'm going to turn it over to Judge Hicks and let her give some words and let her ask Judge Davis some questions. And then we'll go from there. We do have some refreshments. Please partake in the refreshments. And then we have a few children, and we're going to have people that are coming in because there are several other things going on today that conflicts with us. But I can tell you this, we have the most important thing going on today. And we have the most important people here. I'm telling you, trailblazers, we have the foundation people. And we have 98-year-old Judge L. Clifford Davis. No event around here has a judge and a lawyer, 98 years old, that's in their midst, but us. at the Doc Bookshop. Thank you, Doc Bookshop. Now, just Hicks, here you go. Bobby, I want to thank you on behalf of the community for this book. It's also inspirational, especially when you know this gentleman. Judge Davis, I have been all over the state of Texas with him, going to different conferences. I knew his late wife, I know his beautiful daughters. But, Judge, back in 1955, after you graduated from Howard University Law School, this little boy from Arkansas, a little spot on the map, how did you meet the challenges of being on this side of the bench representing people that look like us? Tell us about Tarrant County in 1955 when you opened up shop.
Thank you and good evening to you all. Let me say this. In 1955, in Tarrant County, as well as most of the United States, but particularly in what's considered the southern part of the United States, we had what was called segregation. And what that meant was that there were places that were off limits of black people were not welcome or not admitted at all. And that was the practice here in Tarrant County. The schools were segregated, the buses were segregated, you sat on the back of the bus, the dining, you didn't go to the restaurants downtown unless it was one set aside for black people. The only ones downtown that you go to, you had at the bus station, there was a section for black people at the Greyhound station. And at Leonard Brothers, they had a station, and one or two of the five and dime stores had a section where we could go and have the items that they sold at what we called a fountain in those days. We lived in very designated areas, and we had limits on job opportunities because that we didn't have what's called equal chance at employment in those days. And so all across the South and across the nation generally, we were working trying to improve those conditions. I was a graduate of Howard University, where the civil rights lawyers primarily had been trained. And the philosophy there was that lawyers were social engineers. And what that meant was we took the principles of the society and arranged them for the best interest of the total society. And as we interpreted that, it meant that everyone had a right to participate in the social climate on the territory where he or she lived without regard to the color of his skin or his cultural background. So that when we were in that so-called civil rights movement in the late 40s, and it started in the late 40s, it started many, many years ago, but the litigation area of it was highlighted beginning in the late 30s and in the 40s, and it grew and expanded and intensified as we went through the 40s and the 50s. So that I started practicing Arkansas, and we started filing integration lawsuits for the school systems in Arkansas in 1951. But the cases were pending in St. Louis, Kansas City, and many other places. And we was engaged in that practice. And we expanded it through the years to many other areas.
What gave you the courage, though? I'm always fascinated by folks like you. When you came to Fort Worth, were there any other black lawyers?
Well, let me explain it. There was one resident lawyer here, Mr. I can't think of his name right now. But he had passed the bar at a time when you could either take a correspondence course or you could work in a law office or someone could tutor you. And if you passed the bar, you could practice. He was 75, 80 years old at that time and practiced out of his home. There was no other lawyer active in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
In 1954, two lawyers who had separate sole practitioners in Dallas decided to open a partnership lawyer office here in Fort Worth. So they hired a secretary, and that's what we call them in those days. We call them paralegals now. They hired a secretary and opened a law office. And when someone wanted an appointment, the secretary would have to call and set an appointment for one of them to come over and try to deal with the problem that that person had. When I came to Texas, I had practiced in Arkansas, but I had not practiced long enough to just transfer in, so I had to take the Texas bar. So in order to take the Texas bar, I had to be a resident of the state of Texas, which required me to come and sit up here long enough to become a legalized resident of Texas and then take the bar. So I taught at Paul Quinn College for 2 years. Paul Quinn College in those days was located in Waco, Texas.
Wow.
So I came in 1952, Labor Day weekend, 1952, and worked the year 52 and the year 53 at Paul Quinn. I took the Texas bar and passed in 1953. I got notice about it in late August, but I continued for one additional year. And during that period, in early 1954, these two lawyers in Dallas, Mr. Lewis Bedford and Mr. C.B. Bunkley, opened an office in Fort Worth. And I just mentioned they placed the secretary here and how she would arrange appointments. So I was introduced to them and invited to come and take residence in that office. So in June of '54, I came to Fort Worth to practice in that office. And I came here on the 2nd day of June, and they mailed my draft notice on the 9th day of June. So I got drafted in the Army. So I left here last weekend, the latter part of June, and went on and was inducted into the Army in early July.
As a private, even though you already had.
As a book private, even though I had a law degree.
Okay, think about it, children.
And it took me 6 months and 3 days to get away. I finally got released, discharged for physical conditions that existed prior to the military service and not aggravated by military service. That word, that language written on my discharge. I got an honorable discharge, January 3rd, 1955. I came on back to Fort Worth and re-entered practice here on January the 23rd, 22nd or 23rd of 1955. And I been active in the community all time since.
What about the inner strength and courage you had to walk through the doors of what I still think is a racist system? I mean, what instilled that drive, determination, perseverance, commitment, courage? I mean, you are truly outspoken in a very strong But gentle manner. I don't understand because I don't want to cuss them all out, as everybody knows. What gave you that courage?
Well, let me mention this. It was part of my training from childhood. My daddy was a farmer in a small town in Arkansas. But he believed strongly in education. And in those days, there was what we call Little River County Training School in the county seat. But in the little town that we lived in, it was only the eighth grade.
Wow.
So over time, my daddy and mother rented a home in Little Rock so that when we finished school down there at Wilson, eighth grade, we could go up to Little Rock and go to Dunbar High School in Little Rock, which was the largest high school in the state of Arkansas for black people in those days. And of the 7 children, 6 of us ultimately went to Little Rock and graduated from Dunbar High School. Now, the policy at Dunbar High School was that all students were encouraged to belong to a club. And I joined the government and citizenship club taught by Mrs. McConaughey, who was the history teacher. And once on one Friday, last Friday in the month, all classes would be suspended and all students would go to whatever organization they were participating in. So I was in the civics and citizenship club with Mrs. McConaughey. But in the meantime, I had had a visit in my community, a little town in Arkansas, by a lawyer from Little Rock named Scipio A. Jones, who had represented some black people who had been charged with a situation arising out of a riot over in Elaine, Arkansas, which is called the Elaine case. And he came through our town speaking, and that got me interested from early childhood when I was still in under the 8th grade. And I got to meet him because his home was in Little Rock. So the combination of the training and comments that we got in that civic and citizenship club about the rights of citizens and what an individual ought to have in this country as citizenship was an inspiration. And then, of course, in law school, I've already told you that Howard was considered a strong source of training for black lawyers in the civil rights area. And the leading civil rights lawyers all over the country, most of them had at some time or another either attended Howard or sometime or another been connected with Howard, inspired by those who were. Thurgood Marshall himself, who was with the NAACP, was a graduate of Howard Law School. So with that inspiration from Mississippi O.A. Jones, and incidentally, let me tell it all, Mississippi O. Jones lived in a 2-story house, brick house, with a tile roof, and drove what was in those days a LaSalle, which was same as Cadillac in this day. And I'll be honest, I figured that was a pretty good way of living. So that was part of the inspiration for me to become a lawyer.
Wow. Wow.
Okay.
And Judge, so what do you think about the title of the book, I Want to Be Like Him?
Well, when you look at the book and how she has arranged it, she tried to put together my history all the way from living in that little small farming country on through high school, college, and the civil rights effort, and the fact that when I came to this community, I was active participant in a broad range of social actions that were carried on by citizens in this community, trying to eliminate these acts of discrimination.
Yeah.
I actually worked and I filed a lawsuit in a great school in Mansfield, Texas,
And got
school in
home.
Fort Worth, Texas. Uh, uh, Filed a lawsuit for single member districts in the school board. I was on the committee that helped get single member districts for the city of Fort Worth. I was active with the real estate brokers trying to open up housing. There was a black real estate broker called Realtor because they couldn't belong to the Realtor group in those days. So I worked with them to help us find ways to try to expand the opportunities so that we could move into housing wherever we could afford to do it all over town. And we ultimately have been successful in moving into many, many neighborhoods about the city. We worked with employment. Matter of fact, I was filing a suit against what now I call, in those days it was called General Dynamics. The airport, the air manufacturing place out here now. I filed a lawsuit against them that lasted for several years. We did a lot of things.
You tried to get a black bank here?
Yes, there was a black bank,
Uh-huh.
but it went broke in 1957. Went bankrupt in 1957. But in employment and housing,
Yeah.
and education and in employment, I have worked in all of those areas trying to help expand opportunities for blacks because I believe that one ought to be able to use his or her talent in whatever career that they were trained in, and that ought not be a color barrier anywhere but anyhow. And fortunately, we're moving toward that. We've come a long distance, but we have a long distance yet to travel. But it's so much better. And one of the things that concerns me now is those of us, my generation and older and younger, have worked so hard to expand opportunities, and not enough of the young generation of black men, particularly, are taking advantage of moving into it. There's some all about the country. There's some, but several years ago, I was listening to a radio program that said that 60-some% of the black male students in Detroit didn't finish high school.
Wow.
How on earth do you expect somebody to hire you on a job and pay you $15 to $20 an hour when you got $2 talent? Somebody who got a need for a person with talent that he needs to pay $15 to $20 an hour to use that talent's got better sense than hire somebody with $2 talent. So without proper training and preparation, they don't make the progress that we could be making if more of us would try.
I think that's what's so important, though. That is why it is critical for young people and old people to see everything folks like you went through, you did, you accomplished, and you keep on. And what a remarkable memory. I remember where I was yesterday. All right. And
That's
you
what I
could
say.
go back, a Friday before Labor Day or whatever. Yeah, I'm surprised you can even tell us the time you got inducted in the Army.
And watch this. I want him to tell us today, how old is he?
Well,
And watch how he explains it.
well, let me say it to you this way.
Hold it closer, Judge.
I was born October the 12th, 1924. So on the 12th day of October next month, which is a little bit less than 3 weeks from now, I will be 99 years old.
Wow.
99 years young.
Yeah.
And I boast about it and openly proclaim that I am blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed.
Wow.
Because I have lived a good life.
But you know, I guess for me, when
Well,
I'm
well, I want him to tell us how you do the long version of your date and how old you are as of today.
My claim is that I came over with Columbus, I was just a stowaway.
That's a good one.
But I am now 98 years, 11 months,
Wow.
2 weeks, and 19 days
Wow.
from being 99 years old.
Wow. Wow.
And I can proclaim truthfully that I am blessed. Yes, I'm under treatment from 7 different medical sources, but I do not have any constant pain or any constant discomfort.
Wow.
I walked with AIDS. In 1987, I had colon surgery, and as a result of that, I started leaning forward, and now I lean forward as a result of that. But I do not have any constant
Wow.
discomfort and no constant pain. And I am blessed and I'm happy. And I looked out for myself and I am enjoying life.
Yeah.
Amen. And so, you know, if all of us would tell our age, because Judge Davis said, you only 98 that day, in your
Yeah.
birthday. After that, you are 98 one day and you go on. And he said, so you don't stay at that age, but what we say, how old are you? We tell them that year.
Yeah.
And he actually gives you the year, month, and days.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. He's 98 years old and to give us that. Judge Davis, he has so much stuff that I didn't put in the book because there's an adult book. But Judge just has so many different sayings. He has mottos, and you can talk to him, and he comes up with so many. But there are 10 in the book that we put in the book. And there is one on the cover of the book that he wants everybody to know about. And then there's one inside the book with him in his school and one of his sayings. Judge, do you want to tell them what that one is? The one that you told me, make sure my picture is on one side and my saying is on the other page. And you know what? I acquiesced and I did what Judge wanted.
That's what we have to do.
Yeah, that's what we have to do.
Let me tell you 2 things that I try to drive home to young people, particularly at all ages at school. In elementary school, there's an elementary school that bears my name, and I hired an artist to draw a picture that's there. And under it, I put a theme that I wanted young people and all other people to understand. Education, pathway to a world of opportunities. And education is the root of all of it. In this statement that she is talking about, I have another statement. You will live the lifestyle you prepare yourself to live. No matter what somebody else does for you, the end result is going to depend on how you react to it. Your people can send you to a great university and you can go there and flunk out. Or you can go there and graduate and come back and then do it. You see these, some of these athletes that play in some of the athletic field and make great salaries. And we had one down in Houston after he retired, he ended up on the streets, a beggar on the streets, because he goofed off all of his money. So it depends on the life you will live the lifestyle you prepare yourself to live. And I make that a part of my statement anytime I'm talking to kids at career conferences, in the school where I'm invited from time to time to speak.
One of the things I wanted Judge to talk about, when he came here practicing law, there was an organization called Tarrant County Bar Association. And as a licensed member of the state bar, Judge was eligible to be a member. And you know what they did with his application for membership? They shredded it. Talk about that, Judge, what happened after that. I mean, that says a lot to me, okay? And every time I gotta pay my bar dues, I get mad, all right? But talk about what a gentleman you were, because I'd have told him to take a flying flip, but
Well,
my parents weren't passionate. All right,
as I told you, I came here and for good in '55.
right.
And I was a young lawyer in that time, in the early 30s. But I wanted to belong to the Bar Association in order to have contact with other lawyers.
Yeah.
Because there were only two other lawyers active at that time. I mentioned an old man, but I'm talking about two young ones. Because during that 6-month period I was in the Army, two young lawyers opened an office here, Hollis Malloy and Harold B. Jones. Hollis Malloy had graduated from the University of Texas, and Harold B. Jones had graduated from Lincoln in Missouri, I believe, and they opened an office. So, but we were here practicing, but I wanted to belong to the Bar Association. And so I made an effort to do it, and of course they had a rule that it was for white only. So I was rejected. So a lawyer named Simon called me and said, it's wrong, and I'm going to try to work to get it changed. This was in the late 50s, 56, 7, 8, somewhere along in there. So in 1958, when there was an election coming up for the office of district attorney, the Republican candidate and the Democratic candidate came to the community to speak. We had an organization in the black community called the Precinct Workers Council, and that was the organization in the black community in politics in those days. And the guy who was running Krauts, running on the Democratic ticket, made a promise that if he were elected, he would hire a black in the district attorney's office. So when the Republican lawyer, who was from one of the big firms downtown, came, and he would not make that promise. So all of our community went for Doug Krauts. And sure enough, he was elected. When he went into office on January 1st, 1959, he took the oath of office. And when he swore in his assistant district attorneys, he swore in Hollis Malloy. And Hollis Malloy became the first assistant district attorney that we know of south of St. Louis in those days, anywhere in the South. And Harold B. Jones later left and went back to Kansas somewhere, Kansas City, St. Louis, I've forgotten which now. That left me here as a sole practitioner. In '61, fellow named Willie Griggs,
Yeah.
60 or 61, Willie Griggs, who graduated from Texas Southern, got licensed and joined me in the practice. And in 61, a fellow named Curtis Pearson
Yeah.
came. And so there were three of us here. In 62, Kennedy had emphasized employment of blacks in government office. So here, Will Griggs went into government service as a lawyer. Uh, Later, Pearson went into government service with Internal Revenue. So it left me still here by myself practicing. Every once in a while, one of the lawyers from Dallas would be seen in the courtroom. But I was the only one that you could see on a regular basis walking in the courtroom with a briefcase. So in 70 or 71, somewhere along in there, I recruited John White, who had graduated from Texas Southern, to become a lawyer that had been in Howard during my period. I knew in Houston. I wrote him or called him on, I forgot which, and told him to send me somebody. So he sent me John White. John White had finished Texas Southern and had taken the bar, but had not get notice paid. But he was referred to me, and he came up to talk with me, and I hired him, though he had not passed the bar, to work with me as a clerk. So in 70, 71, somewhere along in that time frame, we were trying a case, and in the meantime, August Malloy died, and so there was no black lawyer in the deed office. And when the prosecutor who was prosecuting that case, trying that case, saw John White in action, he recommended that Krause interview him. Krause interviewed him and hired him from under me. I was glad to do it, because get somebody in the deeds office, but it left me here alone. There were other lawyers in town, but they were all in government service, and nobody still. In the late 70s, not late 70s, later years, 72, 3, 4, other lawyers started coming in. And I hired several of them. And ultimately by 78, there were 15 or 20 lawyers in town. Most of them were in government service. But we organized the Tarrant County Black Bar Association. And John White was the first president of that association. So now, let me go ahead on with the story that you raised.
Wait, now I know. See how Judge can have you here for hours. He knows details. And as I was gathering information for this book, I'm telling you, I got a wealth of information, and I had to say, no, we're going to do this part here. We'll leave some for the adult book. So as you can see, he's talking. He can take you down to every lawyer, black lawyer that came to town. He remembers where they worked, whether they were in government or whether they were in other aspects of our society. But you see how keen he is. And so if someone would give me one of the books as he talked, I wanted to show you that page where he wanted me to put the school in his quote. And so you would know if you purchase a book, it's on those pages. So I did some of the things, and also what I did, he didn't know I was doing this. I gathered quotes from numerous people, some neighbors, some lawyers of all ethnicities and judges. And he was surprised to see a bunch of those. So Judge, now I'm going to turn it back over to you, but I wanted to show the audience this page because it's in there. The book, we thought we would make it attractive to young people by using different color pages. So we're looking on page 50 and 51 when Judge Davis said about his one, you will live the lifestyle you dream, prepare, and motivate yourself to achieve.
And that's absolutely true, though.
And you see, and that's him. Then he has this art piece. It's a piece that he engaged a local artist to, he commissioned that person to draw this, and it hangs in the entrance of L. Clifford Davis L. Clifford Davis Elementary School on Campus Drive. And it states, education, pathway to a world of opportunities. L. Clifford Davis. So I wanted to share that. You must, this is a must book for youth and for the entire family. So we have books that will be available here at the bookstore. We had an order, but it's going to be here on Tuesday. So all the people that are listening, you can call the Doc Bookshop. We prefer that you deal with our local people that are promoting this book. Judge Davis has always supported the African American community. And when he opened his office, he didn't say, but he was an employer for the community. He employed African Americans because they didn't have the opportunities elsewhere. He put them in position, he opened doors, and as he opened doors, he allowed others to follow through.
Right.
Whether they let him sit at the seat at the table, he made it possible for others to sit at the table. That's the kind of attitude Judge Davis has, and he has passed it on. And I am so grateful he allowed me to write his book. So, Judge, I'm going to turn it back over to you and Judge Hicks.
Let me say this to you. I was talking about the Bar Association, and Simon said they were going to work it. In 1961 or 2, after Will Griggs joined me, they finally got it through and removed that. But in the meantime, I had tried to join the Young Lawyers Association. They didn't have a racial clause, but they rejected me because they said they met at downtown restaurants, and I couldn't attend meetings.
Yes.
And if I couldn't attend meetings, I couldn't participate as such in the Bar Association. So in '61, when they opened it up, and Judge Craig, he was a lawyer at that time, called and offered to sponsor me. I asked Griggs, and he agreed to go. And then Pearson was there, and I asked Pearson. Griggs asked Pearson. Pearson refused, and it's just the three of us in the town. So we said that we didn't want to pick him. They had to take lawyers who were members of the bar. That was the only requirement you had to have. So I never joined it. But let me say this to you. Although I had never been an actual member of the Tarrant County Bar Association, I have gotten the two highest awards that they give. The Silver Gavel Award, which is the highest award they give to a judge. And I got the second one. They gave the first one to the administrative judge. And the next year, they gave the second one to Clifford Davis. Then when I retired from the bench and started back in civil practice, I got awarded the Blackstone Award, which is the highest award they can give to a lawyer, the Blackstone Award. So from the Tarrant County Bar, I've gotten the highest they can give a lawyer and the highest they can give a judge.
Let's give a round of applause for that.
It goes through the Tarrant County Black Lawyers Association, which has changed the name, and it's called L. Clifford Davis Legal Association, put out a sweater that said Black lawyers make a difference. Let me point out one thing for you. The first black judge in this county At the district level was Judge Stern, who was appointed on a recess appointment in 1983, but he did not get confirmed. So I was appointed in his place and got confirmed. Judge Hicks, that's the same year, Judge Hicks got appointed. Her appointment went in and it was approved before mine because there was a controversy of whether or not that name of Stern could be withdrawn because of the recess appointment, because he was appointed by a Republican judge and the Republican judge had lost in the election and had been succeeded by a Democratic judge. So the Democratic judge appointed us. So that there was some litigation on that question of whether or not that could happen. Hers did not have a controversy, so as soon as the legislation could pass through, her appointment was approved and she was in a month or two ahead of me. Mine got
first
approved
again.
when that litigation got, and I said, now, when I left, that was in 83. I had to run in 84 and I got elected. So I was elected to the office and the first black elected in a contested
Right,
election.
right.
Okay, now, my term was for 4 years, so in 88, I had to run again. In 88, a white woman lawyer ran against me
A racist.
and won.
Right, right.
Okay, so she was in there 4 years. And won.
Right, right.
Okay, so she was in there 4 years. In 92, I believe it was, Judge Hicks had been promoted to the Court of Appeal
Yes.
and was the first black to serve on the Court of Appeal. That lawyer who ran against me ran against her and defeated her.
That's right.
So that
She loved black people that.
she got elected to the bench both times in both positions, running against a minority. But at any rate, let me go ahead on. Al Salvant was appointed to that bench. So that from 1983 to this day, all except 4 years, that's some 30 some odd years, except 4 years, a black judge has presided. And each of those black judges
Wow.
have been awarded the Silver Gavel Award. What I'm pointing out is what a difference it makes
Y'all being there.
for blacks to be in the courts in our county.
Yes.
And the quality of service that we were providing for the whole county, not just for the black folks. It was a push for blacks because it showed that blacks could perform superior. But it was changed for the better of the whole system
Yes.
because that one court, no other court in this county has had that sustained period of judges who received the Silver Gavel Award. That means that superior service has been provided by that court since 83, except for 4 years.
You see how Judge Davis analyzed things, brings it down, breaks it down for us, and show us how significant African Americans are to this judicial system. Judge, but let me tell you, full circle. In 1955 is when he filed the lawsuit to desegregate Mansfield Independent School District. And in April of this year, Judge Davis was recognized. Well, we reached out to the 15-year-old student who was in the 1955 lawsuit. And the two of them are together on page 24
Yeah.
of the book.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that person is Reverend Moody now. He's 83 years old. Judge Davis is 98 years old. And so that was amazing, but it's another pivotal point in this book. Judge Davis was denied entrance into the University of Arkansas School of Law as a law student. He was not even a lawyer at the time. So the significant work of him as a law student, he made that state desegregate without litigation. And that was the only state in the South that made that remarkable change. Judge Davis, in April of this year, again, he went to the investiture of the first African American man who is the chancellor of the entire University of Arkansas system.
Wow.
He was there, and that is in the book. So our young people can see the story in pictures and in color. But
And see the man.
and you see the man
Yeah.
in living
Yeah.
color.
Yeah.
I say he is living history, a walking history book.
Yeah.
And he really is. Just this little time we've had here today, and I know our time is winding down, but just this little time, I know all of you are going to leave with a different impression of the L. Clifford Davis that you used to know and just saw little snippets of him in the news. So this is the man, L. Clifford Davis. And we also, yes, and we also need to have a few questions. And Judge Hicks, I'm going to give it back over to Judge Hicks and Judge Davis, but I had to bring out those points in this book. It's in here. And then we talk about him giving wisdom. He has 10 tips of wisdom in here. And so, okay. So,
I think the
Let's-
other thing,
mhm.
Judge Davis, Judge Stearns, and myself did, we brought employment opportunities at the courthouse for people that look like us, that never would have had an opportunity to be in those places. And you didn't even talk about that. My court had a black court reporter, the first official court reporter, a black associate judge, a white male bailiff, a white secretary, paralegal when I was on the Court of Appeals, a black briefing attorney, and I go down the list. You took, and this is such a gentleman. I think we forget that sometimes.
Yes.
He and I have driven all over Texas. He didn't trust my driving, Avis. So your daddy would drive us to meetings. I would be asleep at the judicial meetings, and he'd come wake me up to come to the meetings because I really didn't want to hear what they were saying, as y'all well know. But coordinators, I had a white female coordinator. I had a Latina clerk. I mean, come on, y'all. We brought opportunities, not just for ourselves at the courthouse, but for so many others. If I'd been successful at one point, I was gonna retain a black woman seated to my right in a judicial position. It is important, and I know that's been your life, to take somebody with you. As you rise, you need to take somebody with you. And Judge, you have certainly done that. Okay?
Let me mention, me trying to help others.
Yeah.
Eight lawyers have started their practice and benefited from me. And I'm very, very proud. Let me just mention Judge Stearns.
Yep.
I gave him his first job before he passed the Texas bar. Has been judge of 3 district courts, as well as the first black on the Court of Criminal Appeal.
And a good guy.
And is probably the only person in this state who served on 4 different district level or above courts. Judge Stearns, Leon Haley, Les Johns, Stan Hatcher, and I've already mentioned Griggs and John White, and 2 ladies, were there's a total of 8 people I helped get started in office, which means that I tried to help others, and I was not jealous of them. I was trying to help them. Uh,
I know you remember getting me appointed to cases because the firm I went to work for, if I got appointed, I was able to keep the fees. I could turn the ad light on or whatever. Judge is the first lawyer to do that for me. Took me around, introduced me to people and all that kind of stuff. And trust me, I was scared to death. But you were my role model. So as far as I'm concerned, I work for you too. Include me with that 8. All right. All right. I mean, you really did. I mean, you have done so much for so many, and it is fitting that you are being honored with everything. And I have to say this. My sister Deborah and Cookie know this. Well, Bobby, you know it too. I had a radio show on KKDA, and Trustee T.A. Sims brought up he was trying to get a school name for the late great Dr. Jack Brooks. And I started talking about a school for Judge Davis. And Bobby Edmonds and Leonard Briscoe and T.A. and my sister Deborah and a bunch of us joined in, and we got it done. And we had no problems because of the caliber of leadership and character of this man. Okay? We had some problems trying to get school. I still have some problems trying to get schools named for other people. But we had no problem with you. And I was grateful it was going to be a new school. They weren't going to get something torn down.
Right.
You know, whatever. It was a brand new school.
Yes.
So, and I think we ought to honor people while they're here.
Yes.
We ought to honor people while they're here. And not wait till they're at Baker Funeral Home. Okay?
Right.
Or Tree of Life or somewhere.
Yes.
Okay? All right. But
And so-
I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead,
And
Judge.
this-
Let me say one thing about that school. The contractor of that school, who built that school was Leonard Briscoe.
Right.
Built that school was Leonard Briscoe.
Right.
I removed his disabilities as a minor so he could go into business
At age what?
at age 19.
Wow. Because at that point, 21, you had to be legal.
So
Uh-huh.
one of the great things about the building itself was by a black contractor.
For a black man. Yes. Yes.
Art piece that they talk about is up there, education pathway to a world of opportunity, is by a black student who graduated from ODY.
Cedric Huckabee.
Cedric Huckabee. who
My
is-
child.
Yes.
And got his degree from Yale.
Yeah. Yeah.
A degree from Yale.
Uh-huh.
Let me just mention the changes that people around the table can make. Judge Stearns and I, at the bench, got the first,
Magistrate.
first magistrate,
Thomas-
criminal justice magistrate,
Yeah.
got Thomas Ross.
Yes, right. I forgot
First-
that.
First criminal magistrate in Tarrant County was a black person.
Went to Tech, graduated from Tech Law School. I
Judge
recruited him.
Hicks, Judge Hicks was the first black person to be chief municipal court judge. And it's absolutely amazing the change that
Yeah.
you can bring about simply
Yeah.
by being present and put the issue on the table.
Yeah.
So that we want to encourage our people to support black people
Yeah.
who are seeking public office. Go vote, go vote,
Yeah.
go vote.
Yes.
And put somebody there who will express concerns that you have
Yeah.
around the table, and they can get things done.
I wanted to say, while Judge was a judge, he took on this additional task to help rehabilitate and really get some cases dismissed on the low on marijuana cases mostly. And it was called the direct court. And what nobody else wanted to take on that additional work. Judge Davis took it on. That was a #1 court in the state. He had a very successful rate, and people left out of that court without a criminal record. That was the bottom line about it. Give them opportunities, but that was extra work for Judge Davis, and he ran it well. There were some judges who would not refer people to the direct court because it was run by Judge Davis. Now, he's not going to say that, and we won't call any names.
I will if y'all
But-
want to know.
But that did not stop Judge Davis. You hear him. He opened doors for even the people who were introduced into the criminal justice system
Yeah,
to look at that alternative means so they could exit that system with a clean record.
yeah,
And so we applaud Judge for that.
yeah.
And 71 years later, the University of Arkansas, the school that did not allow him in, gave him an honorary degree that was May 18th of 2017. So he's just made so many changes in our lives, in Arkansas, that's right, buy the book. Children need to read about him. It's colorful and it's entertaining. And let me tell you this, we wanted to enhance literacy. And there are a lot of our adults here today. They're reading on an 8th grade level, but they are surviving. So they can enjoy this book. They can buy it, share it with their loved ones, with their grandkids, with their nieces and their aunt. So we don't say just buy this book for young people. Buy this book and gift the book to the community, to children, to a neighbor that has a child that's very aspirational. And Judge will tell you that. So I'm going to let Judge Davis say a little bit more, but those are some things in the book. Buy the book. The hardcover book is $25.99, and the soft cover book is $19.99. And of course, if you buy the book in bulk, there's a discount. And we will have a shipment of those books here by Tuesday. They were supposed to be here, you all, but they will be here for Tuesday. And then you could order your book. You could we'll do pre-sales today, and gift the book. Gift the book. It's nothing like filling that book and turning the leaves and those pages and being able to go back, hold that book and reflect back on it. Nothing like that. And so we want to pass that on to our young people, literacy.
Hey, I think you had a question, Judge.
There's a section in that book. We've been talking about civil rights all these years, and we need to continue to intensify the effort
Yeah,
to open the civil rights. But
yeah,
I want to come up with another CR. I call it civil responsibility.
yeah,
Civil rights is the privileges that the system owes you, but civil responsibility is the behavior that you owe the system. You need to educate yourself. You need to abide by the law. You need to contribute to the general welfare of the general population. That's the civil responsibility. And you need to do it all without regard to race, creed, color, or any other social condition of the individual with whom you interact.
wow.
But I just wanted to think it's interesting what year did and when did Judge Davis first become an attorney, and what was his degree? He has another degree, so you don't have to just be in law to become a lawyer, but he had a degree in a different area.
From Philander Smith, right?
My undergraduate degree was from Philander Smith. My law degree was from Howard. I finished Howard on June 3rd, 1949,
Wow.
and I was admitted to practice law in Arkansas on July the 4th, 1949.
Wow.
July the 4th is a holiday, but in those days, the Supreme Court of Arkansas recessed for the session on the first Monday in July. The first Monday in July that year was on July the 4th, so they convened long enough to announce their recess, and they signed an order. Those of us who had taken the bar and passed would be admitted as a date of adjournment. So I was fortunate enough to pass, and non-licensed were dated as they directed, July 4th, 1949.
Wow. Wow.
Buy the book.
Yeah, buy the book. Buy the book.
Buy the book. Buy
And
the
buy it
book.
from Doc. I mean, it's on Amazon. I think that's great.
Right.
But Bobby, that was a labor of love for you. But it's an incredible, not only story, but an incredible family. Judge Davis's daughter, eldest daughter, is here. My
Avis.
Sarah. Hey, did you want to say something?
That's right. Avis, do you want to say something? Come on and say something.
Well, the only thing that I will say is that sometimes it seems hard to be in the shadow of such greatness, but it's been a blessing and really inspiration to get to know. I went into public interest work, and so it wasn't law, but it was inspired by the work that my father was doing and what I saw him trying to tackle in the community. And so it's really great to see him, especially since I've come back to Texas this last 20 years, to actually see him getting all of those flowers and accolades and great things that are happening to him now. And also to enjoy a long life with him as well. So that's all that I want to say.
And I think you and your sister, your mother, were certainly inspirational in the judge's life. All right? So you could have been out there unless Sarah Davis, your wife, teacher, didn't say it's okay for you to do it. I mean, I'm serious. Okay? And it took time from the girls, but still. Okay? And how long have you been a member of St. Andrew's United Methodist Church?
Oh, probably 65. Probably 65.
Since 1955.
So look at this. This is one of his famous quotes on page 49. Family is life, precious, and should be cherished and loved always.
Yeah.
And then another one he says, family is golden.
Yeah.
Treat your loved ones like precious gems. Enjoy their presence. So I need to do one more. To our lawyers, he says, always let them know that there is a lawyer on the other side of the table. Meaning, always be prepared when you go to the court or advocate for justice. And that is one thing he tells the lawyers, and it is so true. He observed it in his court, and he encourages not just African American lawyers. Judge Davis is a mentor to all lawyers and judges. He has judges of all ethnicities that look up to him. And so he is a man of power, more power than we know, and we're glad God has allowed him to be with us. And you can hear him just as sharp as we would say, sharp as a tack. Yes, recalling those current events and events way back. But then he came from the farm. And if you read the book, they were taught etiquette early in life. His daddy was a mason, and he would go with his daddy to places. So his family was involved in community. His mother was amazing, how she was blind for some years. And of course, the lack of medical technology that time, years later, miraculously, she gained her sight back. And so, him sharing that within the family.
That's the favor of God.
Yes.
Family.
Yes.
Think about it.
Yes. And so, Judge Hicks, would you like to say some closing words? Because look,
I know we're out of time.
we are
Thank y'all
150.
for
It's
coming.
150. Yeah.
Thank y'all. Anybody else? Oh, I'm sorry. It's so good always to see the Hughes.
Yes.
My two sisters came. My daughter was here and left. My sister Sharon. And so
Amen.
thank y'all so much. This book is critically important. I sent the first copy to our sister that lives in New York, who knows Judge Davis and knows him not as well as I do, but admires him so much. And when she opened the package, Judge, she sat there and read the whole thing and cried. And cried. Okay. And to know that he was still here, still doing great things. So I'm
Yes.
proud to be here today. So y'all have any questions?
Well, he's gonna be recognized by the state.
Oh, I can let you all know that on
Yeah.
Friday, September the 29th, here in Fort Worth at the Omni Hotel at 9 a.m., the State Bar Board of Directors are having their meeting in Fort Worth, and the State Bar President's office called me and said she wants to recognize Judge Davis and give him a presidential proclamation from the state of Texas. And it's going to be open to the public. It's going to be on YouTube, and this will be here in Fort Worth, Texas. So that is an amazing, I would say, another accolade for Judge Davis.
And it's so appropriate.
Yes,
And
and-
here's a bar association
yes,
that wouldn't let him join.
yes.
Y'all think about it.
That's what we say, full circle. He's been humble, but he's been aggressive.
Yeah.
He's moved in a way in his path.
That's
Each
a
of us
gentleman.
have our path and how we want to address the issues. Judge Davis addressing, look, gentle, even though it's much fear and his life was in danger in Mansfield. He was hung in effigy. He had all kinds of threats. He had to protect his family. Guess what? He even handled that with grace. And now he's still here today, still rising. So Judge Davis, we thank
We
you
really do.
so much. We thank you. And so last parting words from Judge Davis himself. Thank you again, Judge Davis, for allowing me to write this youth book on you.
She just mentioned that I have great emphasis on family. I came up with a strong family interest. I mentioned in my comment that my daddy
Yeah.
and mother rented a home in Little Rock, so we'd go up there for education.
Wow.
And all of us did well. All of us did well. My daughter, Avis over there, has a master's degree in public administration from Harvard. But let me tell you how important two things are. The family. We've had family reunions since 1969, every 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
And they're planning now a celebration for me next year when I turn 100 on my birthday.
Wow.
But it's important. We have family telephone conference the second Sunday in every month. We all get on the phone and just talk.
Can't you? Yeah.
Y'all can do that.
Zoom, y'all.
Keep up with one another.
Yeah, you can.
All of my life, my brothers and sisters could depend on any one of them to help either one in any problem that they had and know that they would get a response.
Yes.
So keep your family together. Keep your family together. It is important. The last thing I want to say is it's so important to have people say some things to you while you are alive. And here, I call it giving me my flowers while I can see and smell them.
Yeah.
And this is an instance where you have given me a flower while I can see and smell. And I want to express appreciation for it.
Thank you, sir.
Jeff, do you want them to buy the book? Do you want to say something about that?
You can buy the book, and I would encourage you not only to buy it, but be influenced by it and understand that issue that I make in there. The education goes on for life. It does not stop at when you finish school.
Yeah.
It goes on for life.
Yeah.
And read and understand you have a civil responsibility to make a positive contribution to life in your community.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for coming out to this conversation with really two living legends, but the conversation with our man of the hour is the Honorable L. Clifford Davis, 98-year old, 11 months, and I can't say all the days now. Yes, and we're looking forward to doing something for Judge Davis' birthday, October the 12th of 2023, he will be 99 years old. So anyone that's listening, you can send him a note, send him a card,
A cash app.
a cash app. You can send it to his office at High School Bond and Johnson, and that's on it's Johnson High School in the Bronx. Yeah, and Johnson Bond in High School. You can look that up, and it's on Bridge Street. But Judge Davis does make appearances at the office even today. So he makes a weekly appearance at that office, and he used to make a daily appearance at his school and greet the children and their parents. Now he doesn't do that, but he will go and talk to them. So it would be a great honor if someone out there that's listening would make a gift of books to Judge Davis School in his honor.
My family not gonna do that.
Yes.
My sisters and daughters not gonna do that.
Well, and then just remember,
Yeah.
it enhances literacy.
Yeah.
And when you enhance literacy, when they know better, they do better. And then Judge Davis also treat civil responsibility if they're being responsible. That can help reduce juvenile delinquency. It can help the protection and love that's spread among each other in the community. Thank you again, and thank you, Judge Davis, for your family, Avis. Thank you, Judge Hicks, and your family that is here. Thank you for the friends that have come. You could have gone to the other places today. There were several things going on. We appreciate you for being at the dock. And I want Donna to come forward before we close.
And thank
One
you.
of the owners of this magnificent bookstore that is a staple in our community and a catalyst for change in our community, the Doc Book Shop. Come up so we can at least see you and people, because you made it possible for us to have this event at the Doc Book Shop. All right.
Well, thank you all for being here. And again, we're so honored to have Judge Clifford Davis in our building at our bookstore. Thank you, Judge. It's always a pleasure when you come. And thank you, Judge Hicks. You know we love you, so keep doing you.
And they can get the books from you.
And yes, we have books available. We have limited supply though. We got one.
Today.
Yeah.
But we'll have them on.
But we will have them on Tuesday. They
Okay.
didn't come in, so we'll have them on Tuesday. But what we can do today, though, Judge can sign. We do have signing cards.
Okay,
So he can sign, and when you get the book, you can add that to the book as well,
okay.
when you get it. But he does have we do have the signing cards for him to sign, and we can pre-order your book. So just come to the front counter and let us know that you want a book. Okay?
I don't. The sales are going pretty good. I checked with Amazon. But here's the thing: we have books coming in. That's right. We have had the books. Everybody in here probably would have bought a book today. But look, you can pre-buy your book and then just drop by on Wednesday and pick it up.
Yes.
But I really promote having the Doc Bookshop. So I, like Judge Davis, we have to share, and we bring in other African Americans too. If they can do it, we definitely